A game that was once at the highest point a game had ever reached has now become a billboard. Fortnite. It once dominated the souls and minds of all 14-year-old boys. Shout out Epstein. Desperately trying to get people onto their failing tower defense game, Epic Games launched a Battle Royale side mode in an attempt to capitalize on the growing trend of BRs at the time. Initially intended as a side mode, Battle Royale quickly grew to staggering numbers, trumping Save the World's numbers. At first, the game showed its rushed and shallow nature, but this quickly changed as Epic Games almost entirely shifted focus to Battle Royale, resulting in Prime Fortnite. Prime Fortnite can only be described as a once-in-a-lifetime event. You had to be there to understand. I received an Xbox One for Christmas in 2015. At the time, I was an ultra gamer. I didn't do much of anything else. Didn't shower, didn't have a job, and I definitely didn't clop. Don't look that up. This ultra gamer status lasted for the next year and a half. I then met some friends, and my cat pissed on the Xbox. It no longer worked, but I had friends now. The Xbox got put in the closet, and I forgot about it. A whole summer of nothing but hanging out with friends commenced. I slowly lost my passion for gaming. I felt as though I was growing out of games. Spring forward to 8th grade. My iPhone broke and I had an Android. We know how that is. I'm sure somebody else has gone through that. It's terrible. It's very terrible. The friends had disappeared and I needed something to fill the void. Fortnite had recently came out and it was all anybody wanted to talk about at school, but my Xbox no longer worked, so I felt left out. I knew I had to do something. When I got home, I took the Xbox out of the closet, plugged it in, hit the on button, and nothing happened. It didn't turn on. I was frustrated, so I started hitting the Xbox, like literally beating the dog shit, like Mike Tyson in the shit out of this Xbox. I was stomping on it and shit. But right before I was going to give it its final blow, I stopped and thought. After some deliberation, I came up with the idea to take it apart and see if maybe there was something I could do. I took off the front cover, disconnected the ribbon cable, and got eyes on the naked console. Like we all do with women. We all do that. And if you're a grown-ass man and you're not willing to admit that we're all peeping toms and we're all looking into women's windows and shit, that's just what we do. I then deadass grabbed a butter knife and began just touching shit. Like just fucking going all over it with the butter knife. Through this experimentation, I discovered that connecting two specific pins with the butter knife turned the console on. While this was very finicky, sometimes the Xbox would just start randomly turning off and on. I couldn't connect wireless controllers. It was very difficult getting the fucking disc to eject. I don't even want to talk about that. You had to do some fuck shit. It at least worked. This happened during the middle of Chapter 1, Season 2. I told you this whole Xbox story not to yap, but to express the reputation Prime Fortnite had. The praise the game received at school convinced me to potentially electrocute myself trying to fix my Xbox. That is the legacy of Prime Fortnite. I was willing to put my life on the line to play a game I'd never played before solely based off of the praise. A game willing to die for. Now, at the time, I didn't fully comprehend how retarded it was to stick a butter knife into something that was plugged into the wall, but the point still stands. A game willing to die for. When I began playing Fortnite, I landed at whaling and hid it in bushes the whole game. Highest I could get was 3rd place. It took me a couple of weeks to gain enough confidence to leave the bush and fight. This confidence didn't result in much at first, but I was out of the bush. This eventually led to the day before Season 3 was launching. I still hadn't won, but I was determined to get that fucking umbrella. I got home from school and immediately hopped on Fort. I played for hours, no wins. Then 11 p.m. rolled around and I had school the next day. I sighed and I said 2 more games. I landed at Lonely Lodge, looted, and then moved towards zone. I built a 1x1 out of brick. I remember the material because this was the first time I've ever noticed the gnome in the brick. Top 5 situation. I had 0 kills, but I was here. I look out of my 1x1 and spot a default trying to snipe another player. Standing still. I was breathing heavy now. I knew it was my chance. I aimed down sights. Fire! 1 shot, and it was done. 4 players left. 3 players left until I got the umbrella. I retreated back into my 1x1 and waited. It felt like years, but eventually another fell. 3 players left. I peep out of the 1x1 and I couldn't believe my luck. The last 2 were in a sniper battle. 1 was standing still. I started getting that itch again like last time. Fire! 1 enemy left. Top 2, the highest I'd ever been. I could feel my heart pumping. I peep out of the 1x1 and immediately have to duck back down as a bullet barely misses my head. He knew where I was. I knew where he was. I knew what had to be done. Epic sniper battle. We traded shots for about 30 seconds until fire! I was dead on this time. I didn't miss. I blew a hole in his fucking skull. Victory Royale popped up on my screen. I had done it. I won. A bittersweet victory because the young man that I just shit on may have also been trying to get the umbrella, but in that moment, this hadn't registered yet. I took a screenshot and swiftly posted it on my Snapchat story and whipped out my shit and started beating it. I then went back to the lobby and finally, there it was. The umbrella. I told you this story to try to express what Prime Fortnite felt like. The game was perfect. New items and weapons every week, great item shop almost daily, and overall the feeling of something fresh and rewarding to play. The game continued to be great. Maybe not as good as Season 2 through 4, but still great all the way up to Season 10. I won't spend too much time talking about this season because it's been talked about countless times, but this season made me quit playing the game for a long time. I didn't play it all during Chapter 2, so I can't speak much on that. I picked the game back up during the Spider-Man season, and something had changed. The video up to this point has been about the highest point a game had ever reached part of my original statement. Now it's time for the has become a billboard part. The item shop is full of advertisements disguised as skins. The game is littered with stupid ass pointless items. It just feels different. It is definitely still a fine playable experience, but just not the same. That's all Fortnite is anymore, a fine playable experience with a ton of advertisements. It also falls victim to moving trends. Despite how good the game is, people are just over Fortnite. As unfortunate as that is, it's just human nature. They can call people back using nostalgia, but after that fades, you are still left with the same problems. A game littered with stupid ass collaborations and random shit being forced down your throat. Who the fuck wanted a full Star Wars season with no real guns? At base, the game is better than it's ever been. Great movement system. When there's actually guns in the game, they're great. The Havoc and Thunder shotguns are some of the best guns in the game, and they're relatively new. They did a good job with those. But the base of the game is blurred by a filter of corporate bullshit. Item shop full of nothing but superheroes and musical artists. And the game is full of broken ass items based upon whatever they are trying to sell in the shop. The game lacks the soul it used to have. There is no solution. The people playing Fortnite now don't know about these times. They're used to these collabs and are only interested when there's something new. Epic Games has to focus on keeping the attention span of a younger generation who gets a shorter attention span every day. Majority of the older players have grown and quit playing. Inevitably, boomeritis sets in with everything, the older people complaining about how times aren't the same. And I understand that, but Epic Games have not done themselves any favors. The new game is not compelling and is based on chasing trends and collaborations. At first, these big collabs are cool, but what's next? They have to always one-up themselves. Eventually, they won't be able to. They have inadvertently guaranteed their eventual failure. This is Fortnite now, a game full of bullshit just to keep investors like Disney happy. Fortnite has gone corporate. They have to meet quotas, not make a good game. The game is soulless.